Hi, I'm Lily and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I changed my hair. Do you like it? Do you like it? I hope you do. I dyed it purple. It might look kind of black, but it's like dark purple. And so I did that like a couple days ago. So like my fingers are still purple, my fingernails are purple, everything is purple. So if you notice that, just ignore it, because there's nothing I can do about it. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a little reading vlog, and not just any reading vlog, but specifically I'm going to be reading a book that I've been wanting to read for so long. I talked about before how The Poppy War is like my favorite series of all time. I love The Poppy War. They're like some of my favorite books. And obviously I love R.F. Kuang. I have read pretty much all of her work except for Katabasis, and today I'm finally going to be reading it. I put off reading it for so long because I love every single book that R.F. Kuang has written, and I don't like, my brain is telling me like, what if this is the first bad one? Is it gonna be bad? No, there's no way it's gonna be bad, and there's no way I'm not gonna love it, because it's like, it's exactly up my alley. Like, it's exactly what I know that I'll enjoy. But for some reason, I'm like psyching myself out on it, and because of that, I hadn't read it since it came out, and now I'm finally getting around to reading it. I'm super excited. I've kind of forgotten a little bit what it's about. I know generally it's about like descent into hell, but I'm not sure like how or why. No, I'm gonna read the back. I can't. I have to. Oh my gosh, Lee Bardugo blurbed this. Good for you. Oh my god, and so many of my favorite authors have blurbed this. Wait, what? Because Shannon Chakraborty, who wrote the City of Brass trilogy, which is another one of my favorites, she blurbed this as well. Hold on, I'm gonna read this. Ooh, okay, interesting. It definitely sounds cool and it definitely sounds fun. So it is just like descent into hell. I think it specifically mentions Orpheus and Dante, so I'm imagining that like that will be the main source of inspiration, I'm imagining, which is really cool. I'm very interested, and I'm excited to read it, and I can't wait. So yeah, that's gonna be like the main thing that I'm doing in this vlog, is starting this finally after months of putting it off. I think also tomorrow I might go to a cafe, I think, maybe, and try to read some more. I hope I love it a lot. And I think honestly reading this is gonna make me want to reread The Poppy War really bad, so I might reread The Poppy War after this. So I honestly might do a vlog on that because I love those books so dearly. With that being said, I'm going to go make a coffee and then start reading. Okay, I have been reading for a little bit now. I am about 82 pages in, I'm exactly 82 pages in to Katabasis, and I stopped before they're about to enter the first court of hell. And so I was like, I thought this would be a good place to stop and just like get my thoughts out about the beginning. So far, I'm definitely enjoying it. I really like it. I think the obviously the writing is great. Who's surprised? No one. But I really love, in particular, what I really love is Alice's like approach, I guess, towards academics. Not that I love it because it's very problematic, but it's very relatable. And she talks about, there's a moment where she's talking to Peter. Yeah, Peter. Me forgetting their names after reading about them for the last 45 minutes. She's talking to Peter, and he mentions something, and she talks about this like sickening jealous feeling that she gets when he's talking about his accomplishments, and like that's just so relatable, so me too girl. And I'm very interested and excited to see how that kind of progresses and impacts their relationship, and to see how she grows, because yeah, that feeling sucks, and I hope she kind of grows from it. I'm finding her very, very relatable, and I really enjoy her, and I really like Peter as well. I think he seems very interesting. I like that he's very like apologetic, and I don't know, it's nice because he's not like an arrogant asshole type person, which I think you usually expect from like these kind of academic books where it's like, ooh, they're rivals. But I really like that. So I really like them. I really like their relationship so far. The one thing I will say, the one like critique, I guess, that I have is I feel very thrown into everything. And at first I wasn't mad about that because the book opens literally with Alice opening the portal to hell and going to hell. Like, it does not beat around the bush. It does not waste time. You're directly in it. And I really like that because I think it gets the story moving, obviously, and gets you right to like the point of like, okay, we're in it. But I feel like I'm missing something almost. Like, I feel like I skipped a couple chapters. That's how it feels almost. And I think that as I continue reading, that feeling will fade because I'll learn the characters more. I just feel like I'm missing something almost. And I wish there was more backstory given, I suppose, because it feels like there's definitely like there's allusions to like particularly Alice and Peter's relationship where they're kind of like, oh, we used to be closer, like, but something obviously happened and now they're like further apart. And I think that's done well because it's very obvious that like the author is purposefully hiding that from us and that we will eventually find out what happened between them and we will get resolution in that. So that's like, that I think is fine. That feels like it feels very purposeful, but particularly in Alice's and kind of Peter's relationship with the professor, I feel like you get told that like obviously it's horrible and like he's kind of an asshole. Well, not kind of, he's very much an asshole, and like, you know, they're only going after him because they literally need him for like to finish their degrees and all of that. Like, they're only going after him basically because of academic drive. They have no positive feelings towards this man. And you kind of learn about stuff that he's done to other students, and like I'm assuming as we continue to go through the different courts of hell, we'll learn more about how much of an asshole he is and the horrible things he's done. But particularly, there's like one line where Alice mentions let me find it. I'm gonna have to find it. Okay, I found the line I wanted to reference. Alice, they're kind of talking about where they're going to find Professor Grimes and like what sin he's being punished for, so therefore like what court is he going to be in, so where would they go. They're basically just trying to decide how they should explore through hell to find their professor. And from Alice's perspective, it says they were thinking of everything Professor Grimes had done over his storied career and everything they didn't know about. And Alice, for one, was thinking of cold laughter, fingers digging into her shoulder, a hot breath on her face, a burning in her skin. So it mentions like they clearly have like not just a bad relationship, but a uniquely bad relationship. And I feel like it feels less like we are purposely being like, whether that's being purposely hidden from us and purposefully like excluded, and more like I'm just in a story where I don't really know exactly what's happening. And I feel like I wish I had more of that. I wish I had more of their relationship being between Alice and Professor Grimes. I feel like it just feels a little like I'm missing something. It feels more like I'm being told, hey, they have a bad relationship and he's a shitty guy, and less like it's like showing me, I suppose. And even then, I have to like cap off that criticism with like, that is to the smallest extent. Like, it's definitely not affecting my enjoyment and my desire to keep reading. And also, I don't think it's so bad to a point that it's like, I don't know, impacting my feelings towards the text. Like, there still are plenty of moments where like you're being shown and not told. So it's like a very small problem, I think. And what I'm hoping will end up happening is that we will find that it was purposely excluded and not just like, you know, something that was left out. Like, I'm sure as we continue and as we hear from more of like the people in hell, I'm sure we'll see more from it, and I'm sure we'll learn more about, in particular, like Alice's past and Peter's past. Like, I know we'll learn more. I have faith. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. Something I also wanted to mention that I really am enjoying is, like, specifically, I know I enjoy the relationship between Alice and Peter so far, but I particularly enjoy like reading them argue. There is a part in the book where they are arguing about the shape of hell. And first of all, I thought it was fun because there are like little like sort of like maps drawn in, which I thought was cool. I always love when books do that. But they're going back and forth about like, well, I think hell is more shaped like this. I think it's more shaped like this. What if it's shaped like this? And I think those parts are really good and I really enjoy it. And I don't know, it's just making me feel very nostalgic for when I was in school and I like had friends and stuff that liked to argue about those things with me. Cause I love that kind of like, obviously their relationship is very tense, but Alice talks about how in the past they used to be able to bicker like that and like argue in an academic sense and how rewarding that was. And I don't know, it's really nice to read that. It's making me feel very nostalgic for being in school. And yeah, I really am enjoying that. Overall, super liking it. I definitely think I'm gonna really love this book because I already really love it. I love the depictions of hell. I just think it's very interesting and I'm very excited to keep reading. Like I said, I'm only like 80 pages into it, but I'm so excited to see how Kuang interprets like each court of hell and each like sort of punishment, because throughout the first 80 pages, literally the whole time is Alice and Peter kind of arguing like, well, hell could look like this, hell could look like this. It's Alice referencing all these different materials that each have their own like pretty unique description of what hell is like. And so I'm very curious to see how that will manifest in like what R.F. Kuang decides in this book the true hell looks like. So I'm very curious about it and I'm very excited because that's the best part of like that was the best part of reading Inferno for me, was just like seeing like how each like level is interpreted and how they're organized and all that stuff. I'm very excited to see that. So that's why I wanted to stop before I got there, because I wanted to give my like preliminary thoughts. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to reading. I've been listening to, as I've been reading, I found a playlist that's like supposed to be like Bloodborne inspired music to listen to in the background, and I'm loving it. So that's really like getting me in the mood and in the headspace for this. So yeah, I'm going to go back to reading because I'm having a really good time. So yeah, just wanted to give a little update. But yeah, so far really enjoying it. So let's get back to reading. Everybody, it is the next day. My voice sounds like ass because I just woke up, but I wanted to give you a reading update, and I thought that it would be fun if I got ready while I did it. So I need to get my makeup out and also wipe the makeup off my face that is still on there. Glasses off. Also ignore that I have like clothes piled on my clothing rack. Just ignore that. I am halfway through Katabasis. I got halfway through it last night.
which honestly further than I thought I would, because I spent like a solid amount of hours on Valorant last night. I could have gotten farther, but to be honest, I was so tired, so I was like, I'm just going to bed. My mirror is right in front of me, so that's why I'm looking this way. But yeah, I got halfway through katabasis last night and wanted to talk about it because I'm really enjoying it. I really like it. I feel like it's definitely, if I had to rank it within the art of kuangs that I've read before, it's definitely, it's not last, because I think Yellowface is last. Not because I don't like Yellowface, but just because Yellowface isn't really like the vibe, like it's not really the style of book that I usually go for. Let me talk about what I enjoy first. I do really like the depictions of hell. I feel like it's just really interesting to see like how R.F. Kuang like conceptualizes hell. I think that that's really cool, and I think I stopped, the last update I gave was before they went into Pride, I think, and I really liked the way that that was like portrayed. Like it's a library basically, and like everybody in there is like super like pretentious and everything, which I liked. I thought that was like a good like university related way to like tie in Pride, which also like so accurate. Like talking about the people in there and they were like talking and stuff, I was like, I've met this person, I've talked to this person, and they're annoying. But that was really nice. I really liked the way that they did desire. I really liked how they framed it more so as like less as like lust, although lust was definitely part of it, and more so like addiction. And I thought that that was really like a really smart way to do it, I feel like, because on the surface of it, like getting to just do whatever you like in hell, like that sounds pretty like, basically, let me explain for those of you who haven't read it. Although why would you be watching this if you haven't read it? Because I'm giving spoilers. I don't know. Anyway, lust is like a student center / like dorm building. I don't know what my cat is doing, so if you can hear her, I'm so sorry. She's playing with her tail. I don't know. She's weird. But basically it's like a student center / like dorm building. And in all of these different like dorm rooms, there are like, you know, the people, the shades of the ghosts, like the souls of people. And they're just like doing whatever it is that they like are like desiring. So like obviously some of them are like having loads of sex and like all that stuff. I liked that it was portrayed as addiction, because it made that room, like for me personally, like it gave me so much anxiety like reading about them walking around that place, and like all the people that they saw, and like just like looking into the rooms. And also like, I don't know, it was just like really unsettling and uncomfortable in like a really like in a really good way for the book. Obviously, like you're supposed to be uncomfortable, but I really liked it, and I thought that going about it that way was really a positive, because it's not like there's anything inherently wrong with like doing lustful things, or like there are people in there who are like smoking a bunch, people in there who are like, there's like one guy who's obsessed with sniffing books. Like none of those things are bad on their own, like morally, but I liked that it was like these students, they could have just gotten up and walked out the door, but they were trapped in like their addiction, like the addiction cycle of like doing something that you know is bad for you. Anyway, rambling a little bit, but I liked that. I thought that was really well done, and it was really unsettling and uncomfortable to read, and like I liked that. I thought it was well done. I know also yesterday I talked about like how I was a little like not confused, but just like missing some of the backstory between Alice and Professor Grimes. And we do get like basically the big kind of like, not inciting incident, but like the kind of traumatic thing that Alice went through at the hands of Professor Grimes. And basically, because now I'm just giving spoilers, so spoiler alert, basically Alice gets this tattoo. Professor Grimes puts a tattoo on her that is magic, and it makes it so she cannot forget anything, and not just like has like a eidetic memory or like a photographic memory, like cannot forget a single thing. Like her mind is constantly just full of different things. And I really, really like the way that Kuang writes how, like, the negative side effects of that, and how, like, she has these, like, hallucinations, basically, where, like, she's not sure what's real and what's fake. She can't keep herself, like, tethered to reality, and it's, like, a genuine, like, stressor for her. And, like, as much as it makes it slightly easier for her to, like, remember stuff, obviously, and being like in academia, that's like pretty important, the negative side effects of it are so intense. And like I really like the way she's describing that, and how trippy it all feels, I guess, for lack of a better word. I think it's really cool, and I like how it impacts Alice. That being said, I just feel that there's a little bit of disconnect there, like between the moments where you don't know what happened to Alice and the moments after you know what happened to Alice. There's a little bit of disconnect in, I feel like, the way that her experience is written, because before you find out about the tattoo, let me do my eyeliner actually while I'm doing this, because otherwise I'm not going to get ready at all. Before you find out about the tattoo, she talks about how she has a hard time distinguishing like what's real and what's fake, what's real and what's cake. You guys remember that? And she's kind of like, yeah, like I just have to really like focus. And you're kind of like, okay, like something's wrong here, but like, you know, who knows what it is, right? But after you learn about the tattoo, it's like tenfold, and I think it's done well. That's the thing. It's not like the writing is bad or anything. It's just that like it feels like I'm reading about two different characters, I guess, and two different experiences, where the Alice before you learn about the traumatic incident with the tattoo, that feels like a person who just struggles with like hallucinations / like keeping things separate in their mind, you know? It just seems like somebody who has trouble focusing, which sounds demeaning, but like I mean in like a, like it just seems like someone who has what realistically could be a mental problem. Like it doesn't seem magical, like it doesn't seem very, like it's not a very intense part of her character struggle. Like she mentions it and she talks about it, but it's kind of like, yeah, like it's fine though, which is fine. It's not written badly, again. But then after you learn about the incident, it's like a whole different experience almost. And she's consistently talking about like how hard it is for her to keep things in track, and how she's like seeing these hallucinations and all of this stuff, which again, it's not written bad. In fact, it's written very well and I really enjoy it. It just feels like two different characters, and that's a little unsettling. Like not unsettling, but like it's a little strange, because from what we've seen from the narration, like yes, it's in third person, but like we kind of know everything Alice knows, you know what I mean? Like it's not a situation where it feels like information is purposely being kept from us, if that makes sense. And I don't know, it just is a little like off. That being said, it's not impacting my enjoyment of the book, and it's definitely like a small thing. It's just like something to keep in mind. And it's not like, now that I'm past that, it's not like, it's not distracting from the text, I guess. It's not distracting from the reading experience. But yeah, we've kind of also met now, not like, I wouldn't say they're the main antagonist, but they're like, you know, the like secondary antagonist, which is the Kripkes, which if you're a fan of the Big Bang Theory, as am I, all I can think about is that guy in Big Bang Theory when I think about them. But they're like these magicians that basically killed themselves and their son in order to get to hell, so that way they could figure out a way to get back. And they were kind of like the main obstacle, I would say, that aside from just the fact that they're in hell, that is keeping Alice and Peter from getting to where they need to be in hell, because they're like trapping magicians and like draining their blood and all that, you know, just like generally not good stuff. That's kind of interesting. That's definitely like adding to the like stakes, I guess, because obviously the stakes are already high, we're in hell, but it is interesting that it's like other people who are doing this, and I do like that it's not just like evil, like otherworldly demons. There definitely are like otherworldly stuff, but it's like right now, like what they're most afraid of in hell is another person, which I think is cool. You know, hell is other people, as they always say. I really like Elsbeth too. We just met her. She's a baddie, very into her. Hoping she's in the rest of the book, because I really like her. She seems really cool, and honestly, the way she's described, it reminds me a lot of like, this might be a little strange, but it reminds me of Adventure Time. Hear me out. First of all, just her vibes. She's very like positive, which is odd because she did commit suicide and that's how she ended up in hell. But she's very like positive, like adventurous spirit vibe. She also like, they talk about how her armor is made of like all these little scraps of bone and all these little scraps of metal and just random things that have fallen down. And it reminds me of like, especially when they're like going to the underground human lair in Adventure Time. Anyway, this is even not even close. I suck at doing my makeup. One thing that I'm very interested in as the book continues, Peter, very described as very like, not happy-go-lucky, but like very kind, very optimistic, very like friend of the world, very sweetheart. But then there will be these moments where it's like there's something darker in his eyes. And then also there's the whole thing with him possibly wanting to trap Alice in hell. Not sure what's going on with that. And then there's like, he's just weird. He's giving weird vibes. And I'm very curious to find out more about his character, because he seems very nice. And he seems like, I don't know why I'm trying to read the back of it as if I can see without my glasses. He seems very nice though. But then there's just like something about him that's like a little like, what's going on there, bud? And I'm curious how that will develop, and like I just want to know what his motives are, because I'm very like confused about his character in a good way. In a good way, I'm confused about his character because I want to know more, and I feel like it's leading up to something, and I'm excited to learn like what that something is. But I'm definitely very curious, and I hope it has like a good payoff, because if it doesn't, I'm gonna be sad. You ever try to make something in your makeup look better and then you make it look worse? I just did that. I'm gonna finish my makeup really quick and then I'll give a final update and like tell you what we're doing and all of that. So I'll be right back. Okay, calling my makeup there because I don't want to do it anymore. I'm over it. So my makeup is done. Very basic, very simple. But let me finish up my thoughts on katabasis and tell you what I'm gonna do today. So yeah, overall I'm definitely really enjoying it. There's definitely like a couple little things that I think could be just better, I guess, but like even then I'm being I don't want it to come across like I don't like this. The only reason I'm being like super nitpicky is because R.F. Kuang's like one of my favorite authors, and I really love her books. Like this is definitely still like, I would say like 4.5 stars. Like I have qualms, but like they're not impacting my enjoyment of the book, if that makes sense. I want to try to finish this today, which I definitely think I can do because I read like half of it yesterday and pretty much all I want to do is finish it because I want to know what happens. So that's what I'm going to do. Right now I'm going to finish getting ready, and then I'm going to go to a cafe to sit and read because I think that'll be fun. And also I'm hungry and I don't really have any food in my house, so
I need to get food from somewhere. Overall, I'm definitely very much enjoying it. I'm very curious to see how, like, oh, I got eyeliner on it. Oops. I'm really curious to see how, like, the relationships develop, how the story develops, and finding out more about, like, the backstory of the characters. But yeah, I'm going to finish getting ready, go to a cafe, and then I'll probably update you once I come back home from that. So let's get ready. I need to, like, actually brush my hair and, like, put clothes on. So I will see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back from the cafe and I don't know what's going on with my hair, but it just looks funny to me right now. So just ignore that. But I made a decent amount of progress on katabasis and I have only positive things to report back. First of all, it was super sweet because the barista came up to me like while I was reading and was like, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I have to tell you that I'm at like the same spot in the book as you are and I'm loving it so much. Are you liking it? And so we talked about it for a little bit and that was very sweet. But yeah, I am actually really enjoying it. I think what I have come to the conclusion about is that if I just forget like the first 75 to 90 pages, I really think this book is like superb, honestly. It's just that first bit that felt a little bit disjointed and a little bit like off from the rest. Like the characterization felt off. I will say there was one moment where I was like, that doesn't really sound like the character, but overall, I really relate to Alice as the main character. She goes through some stuff that I have never been through, but I think her approach to a lot of things is very similar. I see a lot of myself in her, and it's really like kind of heartbreaking to read through because she very much has the mentality of like, I'm guilty, I fucked up, I deserve all these bad things happening to me, and like from an outside perspective, I'm like shaking her, like wanting to tell her like, no, like you're fine, girl, like you didn't do anything wrong, like nothing is like you can be forgiven and all of that. But then I also like, I understand that feeling and I'm there too, girl, like I know what you're going through. So I really love her as a main character. Really, like, we learn a lot more about like Peter and why he acts the way he acts and does the things that he does, and I think that that provides a lot of insight to his character, and it was a really nice moment of like characterization. So I liked that. I liked his character. Right now I'm at a point where Alice is off on her own and she's making her way to the 8th court of hell, and where I stopped, she's like basically just gotten there, like literally just arrived. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out, especially because there's not that much left of the book. The other gripe I have, gripe seems like a strong word because it's not impacting really my enjoyment, it's just something that I've noticed. There is a part where Alice gets kind of vengeful almost, and it seems a little out of character for her. Like it just doesn't seem like something that she would necessarily do and that she would be in the mindset of doing. It doesn't align with what her motivations have been throughout the rest of the book, and it didn't feel like, oh, here's this realization that this is some like motive that she's had this whole time that that was just under the surface. It just felt kind of out of nowhere that she got very vengeful and almost like, I don't know, wrathful or cruel, I guess. It just didn't align with kind of like what it seems her motivation is. And it felt very like dropped out of nowhere and then moved on from. And like, I totally understand why she would be vengeful, and to be honest, I think she should do what she said she was gonna do and make Grimes suffer, but it doesn't align with, like, the I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It just feels out of place and felt a little out of character. And I think that kind of feeling of things being out of character, I feel like that sums up really how, like, my main issue that I'm having with this book, which, like I mentioned, is, like, in all honesty, the smallest issue ever. Like, it's not a big thing. It's not impacting my enjoyment of the book. It's not impacting, like, all the good that I think is being done with the characters. It's just, like, a little thing, and I'm really only nitpicking on it because I love R.F. Kuang so much. Like, this is still a phenomenal book. So, like, take this with, like, a grain of salt. But it just seems like, particularly with Alice, because she is our main character, and she's the character whose perspective we have the most of, there are just little bits and pieces that feel a little bit disjointed, almost as if this was still a draft, which sounds really harsh and really mean. I promise it's not that big of a deal. Like, it shows up in very small ways, and I'm being very, very nitpicky, but there's just slight inconsistencies with her motivations and her feelings, in my opinion, that kind of give her character a sort of disjointed feel, almost like the author thought of this idea on the spot, wrote it out, and applied it going forward, but never went back and edited the rest of the manuscript to align with that new idea, if that makes sense. That's how it feels, at least to me personally. Again, it's not impacting my enjoyment of the book. I still think Alice is a phenomenally written character, and I relate so much to her, but it is just like a small little gripe. Again, I'm still really enjoying it though, and I'm totally gonna finish it today because I need to know what happens, and I need to know what happens to Peter, because I'm gonna be very sad. What happened to him, I'm like towing a line between giving spoilers and not giving spoilers, so I'm not gonna say what happened to him, but let's just say he might be dead. I have a feeling he's not dead because there's no way. There's just no way. It was so abrupt and so, like, I don't know, it just, I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's dead. Especially not with, like, a whole quarter of the book left. I think he's coming back. At least I hope. Because if he doesn't, I'm gonna be a little sad. But, yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far, and I'm definitely curious what kind of solution, I guess, that Alice ends up coming to, because at this point, she's kind of, like, her whole original plan is kind of, like, just out the window, really. And, like, she doesn't really know if that's what she wants to do. But it's very interesting so far. I really, really like it. And, yes, I think I'm going to keep reading now. I might make, like, a snack or something because I'm kind of hungry. I had a burrito. Oh, that cafe. It's one of my favorite cafes. If you're ever in, like, the Denver area, go to a Bardo. They're, like, the best coffee shop ever. First of all, they're open until, like, midnight, which is awesome because, like, no other coffee shop is open that late. It's great. But also, they just have, like, really good drinks, and they have really good breakfast burritos. So if you're ever in the Denver area, go to a Bardo because they're the best. And everyone, I've never had, like, a negative experience there. Highly recommend it. But yeah, I probably gonna eat a snack maybe, and then hopefully keep reading. I'm gonna try to finish this today. I might end up playing Valorant again later. That's what I ended up doing last night as well, and then I read some more, so we'll see when I actually end up finishing this, but I'm definitely set to finish it today, and I definitely want to finish it today. So that being said, let's get back into it. One other thing I'll say also, if anything happens to Archimedes, I'm gonna burn this book. I'm not even joking. I love that cat. Don't play with my feelings, R.F. Kuang. Don't. If anything happens to that cat, I swear to God, I'm never reading another R.F. Kuang book again. She's never getting a cent of my money. Hello, I'm back with a katabasis update, and the update is that I finished the book. And it's actually been a couple days since I did finish the book, but I forgot to update. So here I am to finally do that. Also, my skin is really bad and my fingernails are still kind of dyed purple for my hair, so just ignore that, please. But yeah, I finished Katabasis, and overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I would definitely highly recommend this. I think it was definitely a very good book. Was it my favorite thing that I've ever read ever? No, but it was really good. I honest to God forget where I last updated you all, but I did finish it, and it didn't take me very long to finish. I think I finished it in like 2 days in like pretty much 2 sittings, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I think that as like R.F. Kuang books go, it's definitely not my favorite of hers. I still really liked it. I think I ended up giving it a 4.5 as like my final rating. So like it's not a bad book at all. It's just not, it wasn't my favorite. And I feel like I'll start off by just kind of saying like what I guess I didn't really like about it. And that's that it feels just a little bit disjointed. I think I might have already described this, but I also was talking to my friend about it, and I was saying that it felt at times like it was still a draft and that the author was still coming up with ideas as they were writing, and as they would implement them, they were implemented really well, but they never went back to implement those new ideas into the rest of the manuscript, and because of that, it felt a little disjointed. It was never enough to where it was like super distracting and like pulled me out of the reading experience. It's just enough that I did notice it, and I feel like that's kind of like the main issue that I had, which is a shame because I feel like it happens the most with Alice, but I also feel that like the characterization of Alice was done so well at certain points. Like I felt like, for me at least, I really related to her a lot and her thought process and all that stuff, and especially like her growth that you see in like the final kind of showdown with the professor. I just think it was really beautiful and really well done. But then there are just moments where stuff will come up and you're like, that doesn't really fit with anything that we've read so far. But then it's written beautifully and it's written very well for the rest of the book, so it's like, I don't know, it's just a weird kind of like situation where it's not too distracting, but it's definitely something I noticed. I thought the ending was super cute. I really liked Alice and Peter. I thought they were very sweet together. They did have like a very, it was like a slightly convenient ending, but it was one of those situations where because they went through such hell literally throughout the book, I didn't really care. I was like, I just want them to have a happy ending. Like, I don't care if it's a little convenient, like I just want them to be happy. So that was good. I enjoyed that, and I really liked seeing like the depiction of hell. I thought this conceptualization of it was really cool. All of the like gray sands and how monotonous it was, I feel like really gave you this sense of like, it allowed, I feel like the emptiness of hell really allowed for like the characters' thoughts and the characters' like the characters' own vices and stuff to come forward a lot more. And it was definitely, I think it drew a good balance between like hell having like actual like scary like monsters and stuff like that, and also just being a very reflective place where you're forced to confront your own issues and that kind of thing. So I thought it was a very good balance in terms of like inner and outer struggles. I really liked that. And yeah, oh, and the magic system as well. I hadn't mentioned that really this entire time I was reading it, but I really liked the magic system. It reminds me of, if any of you have ever read Witch Hat Atelier, which is like so not the vibe of this, but like the way that like drawing the like runes and pentagrams and all of that is a really important part of like making, like that's how you do the spells and stuff. That reminded me of Witch Hat Atelier, which I love Witch Hat Atelier, so like wasn't mad about that. And I think like the idea of it being about like nuances of language was really cool, which like I thought was really cool because you see R.F. Kuang did a similar thing with Babel, which honestly reading this made me really want to reread Babel, because I think Babel is like same vibes but better executed. Not to say that this one was poor, it's still a very good book, but like Babel's just a little better. But like those nuances of language and like the idea of like all of the different like paradoxes and stuff like that. Like I really liked that as a basis for a magic system. I thought it was really cool, and it felt very like grounded in reality, which for something that is very like academia based and also very reflective of like the real world, I feel like that was like really nice, because it made the story feel, despite the fact that you're literally in hell doing spells, all of that, the story still felt quite grounded because there was like a real science to what they were doing, and it felt very realistic within like its own, you know, logic and like its own laws and stuff. It felt very consistent, and I really liked that, and I thought it was, the magic system was super cool. Overall, I think this book reminded me a lot of Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, which, can you see my copy of it in the corner down there? It's right there. You can see like the very top of it. I really enjoyed that book, and I think that it shares a lot of similarities to this book in concept, but I don't know, I feel like the vibes are still very different. But if you haven't read that book, which, I mean, it's pretty popular, so I feel like you probably read it, then I would recommend it if you enjoyed this. I did really like all of the references to like actual existing literature. I thought that was really cool. I think like I liked that as well. Like I think Babel did that as well, where it like, again, it just makes it feel super grounded and super realistic, and I feel like it emphasizes the points that R.F. Kuang is trying to make in terms of like, with this one, it's like mainly about like, you know, like abusive power dynamics and relationships and how that factors into an academic setting, with like the added sort of like, it's just like about abusive power dynamics and that kind of thing. And I feel like because there's so many real world connections, it feels very grounded and it feels very realistic, and it's very like, I don't know, it just makes it feel more realistic, and I liked that in this kind of story. So I really enjoyed that. I don't really know what else to say about it. I really did like it. It really is just like the little bits of like strange characterization that popped up that were kind of weird to me and felt a little off. And it's a shame that that's the case, because otherwise I think it's a very strong book. I think like if you look at the writing kind of like piecemeal, like rather than as a whole book, I think it's super, super strong. I think it like walks a balance between being very like thoughtful and pensive while also still having moments where it's kind of silly and a little goofy, which I think makes for a really like a really good reading experience. And again, like it just makes the characters feel a lot more real and fleshed out. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend this. Definitely look at like the trigger warnings and stuff. Obviously it's like a darker book, so darker stuff kind of happens, but I would definitely recommend it, especially if you liked other R.F. Kuang books. I do think you'll enjoy this, and if you're just generally into like dark academia, I do think this does a really good job like considering the parameters of that genre. So I would definitely recommend it. If I had to like rank it among like the other R.F. Kuang books that I've read and loved, it's almost last. I gotta be honest. It's, for me, my ranking goes the Poppy Wars series, all three of them. Those books are amazing. Then Babel, then Katabasis, and then Yellowface. And the only reason Yellowface is at the bottom is because that's just not really my like cup of tea. Like, it's contemporary fiction, and that's just not something that I'm super into. So like there's nothing wrong with that book, it's just not like my personal taste, even though it was really good and I did enjoy it. But yeah, like I said, even though I have my critiques of this book, I did really, really enjoy it, and I would highly recommend it, and I still gave it a 4.5. Like, I still really liked it, and I definitely want to reread it, because as I was reading, I was kind of thinking like, I wish I had started annotating it and just like writing stuff into it, because I kind of regret not doing that. Something else I also enjoyed about this book, which I forgot to mention, there's like a set, I'll show like, actually let me show like an early chapter so there's no spoilers. I forgot to mention this, but all the chapters have different like pentagrams drawn on to like the chapter headers, and the different ones, they're really cool, and I really liked looking at them, and I thought they were really awesome because there's like this one. Let me find, yeah, this was my favorite one. I really liked this one. But yeah, I thought I'd mention that. It literally has nothing to do with the book, but, or like the actual quality of the writing, but I thought that that was really cool, and it was nice to see those. I liked the design of those. But yeah, overall, definitely would recommend, really enjoyed, and yeah, I am glad that I finally read it. It definitely didn't disappoint. It was still really good, even though I had a couple minor critiques. And yeah, like I said, I would recommend. If you haven't read it yet, you should. I hope you enjoyed this little reading vlog. Let me know if there's any books that you would recommend based off of this, anything you want me to read. I always love getting recs, so definitely leave those down in the comments, and yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course comment as well. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your week, and I hope you read lots of good books and just have the best time ever. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me while I read this book, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!